There, folks, it's Nerdy John, and today we're doing something a bit different. This is a adventure game of sorts. It's a game called Hero or Villain Genesis by Adro. By Adro. From what I gathered, this is a sort of adventure game that you can get on your phone or your PC. I went with the PC version because that's easiest for me to record. And it is extremely cheap. And I've played through it, and the game itself is pretty short. But I wanted to do something a bit different for you all. And hopefully, this will show my more narrative part of my voice, if that makes any sense. Like, I wanted to get a bit into doing voiceovers for books, so I figured this would be a good way of sort of breaking into that. So anyway, Birth of a Superhero. Before you start, this game makes heavy use of a variety of stats to determine whether your character will succeed or fail at a given test. It is recommended that you consult these stats frequently and that you keep track of your money and health. If you want to consult the stats, click Show Stats button at the top of your screen to show details of your skills, health, money, and further information. Other works by Adro. If you like this game, please consider subscribing to the following page to hear updates about other games by Adro. This game is being continuously updated following feedback provided in the choice of games forums or through bug reports. Thus, if you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to contact us. One of the options below will also let you know about the changes that will have been made to the game since its release. Alright, so let's hit start game. Difficulty settings. Note, there is also a difficulty setting, which will determine how strong your character is. Altering this difficulty can make it noticeably easier or more difficult to achieve a good ending in the game. Okay, let's go to our different difficulty settings. The default difficulty setting that will give you 300 hero points to choose your powers. However, if you want to make the game easier or more difficult, you can also alter the number of hero points that you will receive. Select the difficulty setting from the range given below, which will automatically start the game. Alright, so we have ridiculously easy, very easy, normal, hard, very hard, impossible. So what we're going to be doing is ridiculously easy, because this is just a simple playthrough. Okay, this version will give you almost limitless number of hero points, so you can choose almost all the powers in the given category. However, not all achievements will be available to you. The sound of sirens rings in your ear as the police cars speed towards the end of the street, joining the barricade that has been set up outside of a large corner supermarket. Crowds of onlookers stand behind the cars, their eyes fixed at the scene developing before them. Many have their smartphones and cameras already in their hands and start to take pictures of you, while others clap and cheer. While you may not be as famous as some of the more powerful enhanced humans on the planet, you've already made a bit of a name for yourself by saving a couple of children from inside a burning building. It was my duty as a superhero to save the children. As a vigilante, I not only deal with criminals, but also help keep citizens safe. Actually, I'm more of a criminal than a superhero, but I still couldn't let kids die in a fire. I didn't care at all about the kids. I went inside to see if there was anything I could steal, but somehow helped the kids escape. I will be a paragon of good in this round. Indeed, rescuing the children inside the burning building is one of the many duties of a superhero. You have also dealt with a handful of petty criminals and lowlives in the past. However, you have never faced another enhanced human yet, and the prospect of a fight excites and worries you in equal measures. TV channels are already on the scene, and you found out from the radio broadcast about the ongoing situation, which luckily was not too far from your office, where you work as a lawyer, an engineer, a journalist, or a web page designer. Let's go with the classic superhero route and say journalist. And what is the focus of your writing? I'm a crime reporter. I'm a lifestyle reporter. I am a column journalist. I am an investigative journalist. I'm a sports journalist. Let's go with an investigative journalist, as I think that would help us out. Your job entails going very deep into one topic, investigating single issues until you find the hidden answers. Behind them, you can sometimes spend weeks, even months, looking at something, though the results can't be worth it. The job has its challenges, and you are generally quite good at what you do. Many actually consider you one of the rising stars in the company, though since you obtained your powers, it's becoming increasingly difficult to juggle the challenges of a daily job with that of your alter ego. Oh, next time I gotta make sure to bring some water for these. The broadcast described how an enhanced human was trying to rob a small supermarket, but somebody sounded the alarm, and all the employees and customers managed to escape the building, and the robber appears to have barricaded himself inside the supermarket, with the police blocking all roads leading to it. Descriptions point to an insect-looking shapeshifter with strong black scale armor and dark cockroach-like wings. He's likely to be very powerful, and otherwise he would have easily been dealt with by the police officers, who have already arrived on the scene. Nevertheless, any enhanced human can cause a great deal of trouble to the police, so you thought it would be better to come along and lend a hand. You hurriedly walked out of your office and came to the scene, knowing that this could be your first major challenge since you've touched the meteorite stone that gave you your powers. That was really the day that changed your life, and you aren't sure whether you have preferred to know what was about to happen. You decided to go away from New York for a weekend and relax by, going to historical studying. Let's go with going to see some historical sites, as I believe that fits most with a journalist approach. You decided to take a plane and go to see some historical sites in California. It was a great trip, which involved driving quite a lot. You started off in San Diego, and from there headed north until you reached Las Vegas. For the final length of your trip, you decided to ride along the old Route 66 towards Vegas, and then on towards the Grand Canyon. At some point along the route, you decide to take an unpaved road and admire the calmness of the desert. Stepping outside the car, a glowing, bluish stone attracted your attention. It was memorizing, and its pulsating life pulling you towards it with an irresistible force. As you touched the stone, you felt your entire body burning with an energy of the stone rushing into you. You screamed, experiencing pain more intense than anything you ever felt before. This is this probably lasted a few seconds, though you felt the moment went on forever as you, let's see, rolled on the ground, earth-based powers, touched a piece of wood and set it on fire, fire-based powers, tried to pour some water over myself, water-based powers, jumped into the air trying to cool down, air-based powers, ran into a dark area, shadow powers, passed out in the intense sunshine which burnt my skin, light powers, stumbled around until I eventually touched an animal. DNA merged with that of an animal, clenched to my watch as hard as I could. Time powers. Tried to control the pain. Tried to attempt to rationalize what was happening. Alright, so what power will I choose? This is very important. I'm not gonna lie, I'm interested mainly in shadow powers and mind powers. Let's go with mind powers. Gradually, the pain subsided as you soon realized that your life had changed forever. Up to that moment, you had been relatively average person, though it is true your friends always commented that you, let's say, had a very strong willpower and charisma. Aside from that, your parents also knew how when you were a kid, you had a decent level of physical stamina and endurance. However, you had your weak points, and people had mentioned how you were a bit weak. Your newly gained powers changed you and have completely set you aside from other normal human beings. At the time, you were unaware that the same fate had fallen onto many other people around the planet. A few weeks after you touched the stone, the first reports about enhanced humans started arriving from Japan and Korea. It was the Japanese who first proposed a classification of different power levels that had conferred to people by touching the stone. Essentially, it seems that there is some correlation between the size of the stone and the degree of enhancement that was made to human DNA. I'll be right back. I gotta get some water or something to drink. All right, good news. I've got some water. The Japanese has described a Q fourth level as someone with powers barely greater than those of a typical human. However, whoever is attempting to rob the supermarket probably falls into this category. As you guess, that otherwise he would have tried to rob a bank. A Sanku is far more powerful, with powers that could easily defeat a handful of normal humans, even if armed. The prospect that the supermarket robber could be a Sanku fills you with dread, as it would be a pretty close fight, though you reckon you could still prevail. Your own powers could probably equal to those of an Aiku, though you could never really have a chance to fully test them. At the very top of the category is Aiku, first level, and Minku, second level. Enhanced humans can really pack quite a punch. A fight between a superhero known as Shirayuki and the evil Kurusu Tagu. I am butchering these Japanese names. I am terribly sorry. Left a huge area of central Tokyo in ruins. Ultimately, Shirayuki managed to prevail, and she has since dated herself as Protector of Japan. Considered to be the strongest superhero, her name derives from the snow that falls whenever she uses her powers, blanketing the land white. She appears to have complete control over ice, though she is also super strong and can fly. Her beautiful crystalline armored figure has long since become the most recognizable amongst heroes. It would be interesting to find out if your powers are actually as strong as hers, given that you were both classified as Aiku. That would be interesting. Choosing powers. Note. Each of the powers below cost a certain number of points, indicated in brackets. The powers available to you depend on your earlier choices of power type. In cases of choice of a particular power that will restricted by a certain attribute or choice. All right. First, let's go with movement speed and flying and teleportation. And then enhance attribute powers. We're definitely going with this. My psyche is beyond that of any other human. And then we're going to go all the way with intelligence as well. Then defensive powers. Let's see. I create a strong force field around my body. There we go. Don't think I need the regeneration. Let's go for offensive powers. Let's see. I channel energy. Let's go with that. Let's go with again. Okay. And then miscellaneous powers. Let's go there. I can easily identify my enemy's weak points. I manipulate people's dreams. Ooh. All right, let's go with that. That too. I'm a telepath. I can control people's minds. I can influence others' emotions. Let's see. Double learning. And then take me back to the power menu. See what I can do with 60. quite a bit in the bank. Let's go with as much as we can. It was, let's see, I worked incredibly hard during my college years. There we go. And then let's go with +5 intelligence. All right, we're ready to go. On with the story. Over the following weeks, increasing numbers of enhanced humans started to appear around the planet, all of them irrevocably changed by touching one of the stones. In each case, the story was the same, with the stones disintegrating into dust as their energy was transferred into the person that touched them. Some of those affected started to use the powers to help others and uphold the rule of law, with the mass media referring to them as superheroes. Others have fewer concerns about the legality of their actions, and often are described as vigilantes. Many who have kept a low profile, hiding their powers from public view, and attempt to lead normal lives. Finally, there are those who use their powers for personal gain or darker motives. Obviously, the public became obsessed with the deeds of enhanced humans, with the origins of their powers. Various theories circulated around the origin of the stones, until a leaked document confirmed that they were the remains of an asteroid that was secretly blown up by the joint efforts of the space agencies of the US, the European Union, Russia, and China. The asteroid, known as X976, was identified as being on a collision course with Earth. With the diameter around 1 meter, it was large enough to cause lasting damage to the planet. A secret project, codenamed Armageddon, was put into place to blow up the asteroid into small fragments. Secrecy of paramount importance, as the governments feared that chaos and panic could grip the planet if people were to become aware of what was going on. A large ship was rapidly built in orbit around the International Space Station, and dozens of nukes were strapped around it. Then, it was thrown on a collision course with the asteroid. With just hours to spare, the ship struck X976, blowing its brittle carcass into myriad of fragments that descended onto Earth. Scientists were surprised that these fragments did not disintegrate as they entered the atmosphere, and the efforts were made to try to locate them. However, most were found by people like you, who were hypnotized by their beautiful light. The various governments around the world reacted with alarm at the appearance of enhanced individuals. Some countries were required that all enhanced to register with the police, and more oppressive regimes have either jailed or prosecuted them or enlisted them into their armies. This drove many underground, explaining how most chose not to reveal their identities, using masks to protect themselves. Indeed, this is the path that you have chosen for yourself, as you are afraid of consequences of the people finding out who you really are. And let's go with Peter MacDonald. There we go. Choosing from the very start to hide your identity was probably a good idea. These are rumors that some corporations and governments have been kidnapping enhanced humans and running experiments on them, attempting to reproduce the process that gave them their powers. Also, like many of your kind, you have chosen to use a costume to protect your true identity and further emphasize your character. Obviously, it's important that you find a quiet place where nobody can see you, so you can change into your costume. So far, you've been you've been lucky that nobody has developed any suspicion of who you really are. Newspapers and local TV channels have already featured you several times. A number of opinion articles have tried to decide whether or not you're a hero or a vigilante. Although you're not re- Although you are not really that well known outside of New York, the crowd starts to chant the name you are known by. All right, well, mind powers. So let's go with not Shadowcat, uh, Mega Puma. Let's go with our own name. I'm somebody else. What's your superhero name? Let's go with no mind. Mind Tamer. Mind Tamer. There we go. Yes, this is indeed my superhero name. The shouts of the crowd alert the police to your approach. One rather impressive policewoman, who had been barking out orders from a loudspeaker, turns around and approaches you. She appears to be of mixed ethnicity and has very powerful features and a strong body. She has short hair, a martial demeanor, further emphasize that she is not an ordinary policewoman. And you suddenly recall she has appeared on TV many times. If you remember correctly, her name is Captain Verlotti, an exceptionally charismatic officer who has been at the forefront of crime fighting for years. In her youth, she was a semi professional athlete, and her bravery and intelligence are legendary. Her tone leaves no doubt that she knows exactly who you are. Mind Tamer, thanks for coming. My officers have Black Cockroach cornered inside the supermarket. We have tried to go in and arrest him, but his skin seems to be tough enough to deflect most of our bullets. The captain then points towards a couple of ambulances parked to the one side of the street. Next to them, paramedics are attending to the injured officers, who are battered and bruised, but are probably not seriously injured. Looking towards the supermarket, she then adds, "He's very strong, and literally just threw my officers out of the window of the supermarket. That was probably stupid on his part, as he has no hostages and he doesn't seem to be too completely immune to our bullets. Thus, he's effectively trapped inside." You take a moment to consider her words. Accumulated strength, but not enough to kill a man with a single punch. A weak body armor doesn't sound too threatening, yet obtaining as much information as possible is probably the safest to go. Okay, I'm going to need to drink some more water. All right. Piece of cake. Nobody brought some insect repellent? Captain. Okay, tell me everything you know about him. Captain nods as you say this, though you feel as she isn't really accustomed to taking orders. She pulls out a piece of paper from her back pocket, though it appears she knows everything on it already. His real name is Carl Jackson, a homeless person. From what we know, he isn't really a bad character, hasn't killed anybody so far. However, he got his powers, and since he's got his powers, he's been involved in a number of supermarket robberies around the state. Mostly, he just takes a little bit of money and food. Appears still to be living rough, which is why we haven't been able to locate him. But this time, he was stupid enough to try and rob a supermarket that is only around the block from a police station. Classification: Young Koi. Known powers: shapeshifting into human insectoid form, enhanced strength and endurance. Thick skin that can absorb low-grade bullet damage. Insect wings that allow him to fly short distances shouldn't really pose much difficulty for you, right? It would appear that this is not only Black Roach's profile that the captain knows by heart, and looks in her eyes seems to indicate that she has a good understanding of the level of your powers and capabilities. In any case, this black cockroach is indeed a Yonku, as you first suspected. You feel a lot more relaxed about the entire situation, and from the captain's description, it should be relatively easy to handle him. Let's see. Thanks. I'll try to reason with him. The captain nods in approval. Great. I didn't expect anything else. Didn't expect anything else from you. I was waiting for the SWAT team to arrive so that we could storm the building. But if you could deal with him, we'll be very grateful. I prefer not to put my officers in harm's way unnecessarily. Though we'll be outside in case we're needed. Black Cockroach has asked for a negotiator to come in, as he says he has hostages inside. However, we're convinced that he's lying and that there's nobody else in there. With that, she waves to some of the officers to let you pass. Calmly, you walk through the police cars and approach the supermarket. The glass windows have been broken in several places, and the Black Cockroach has placed shelves against them to barricade himself inside. However, he has left the door open, probably waiting for the negotiator to arrive. Calmly walk through. Let's walk up to the supermarket door and smash it open with my telekinetic blast. You walk up to the supermarket door, smash it open with your telekinetic blast, and then proceed to quickly walk inside. Directly in front of you is a humanoid-like insect, slightly smaller than the average human. His dome-like brown belly is divided into several segments, with the rest of his skin covered in a black plate-like exoskeleton. Two large membranous wings protrude from his back, covered by a tough protective second pair of wings. His head is rather smaller than the rest of his body, with his compound eyes have two long, flexible antennae on top of them. Two strong, insect-like arms protrude from his torso, ending in powerful claw-like hands. A little brownish blood is coming out of some wounds in his lower abdomen, probably from the bullets fired by the police officers, as Captain Villadori suspected. His exoskeleton doesn't appear to be hard enough to completely protect him from bullets. He advances a couple steps towards you, while looking at your costume, and addresses you in hissing tone. Who are you? You are not the negotiator. I use my mind control to take him and turn him over to the police. You usually take control of the weak psyche of the Black Cockroach and make him walk outside the supermarket and turn himself over to the police. You walked towards the police barricade And as you reach Captain Veldiri takes you to the side of the street, away from everyone else. Mind Tamer, your actions prevented my officers from suffering further harm, something which I'm grateful for. Clearing her throat, she continues. Hope that I can count on you to help us with others' future problems with enhanced humans. Am I correct in assuming that? You nod affirmatively. Of course, Captain. Just let me know when you have any problems, and I'll come as soon as I can. Thank you for tuning in to this part. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tuning in for part 2 of Hero or Villain Genesis. This is Nerdy John, signing out.